there, G45 people. I just want to talk to you today about my project, which is a levelling up project where I've taken a past class from Graphic 45 and I've made it my own. Now, I purchased from the Graphic 45 website, and I will put a link in for you, the Voyage Beneath the Sea, Treasure Chest and Stowaway album. Now, when this came to me, I'd got the kit for the chest and the Graphic 45 Voyage Beneath the Sea 12 by 12 Deluxe Collector's Pack. But I kind of got thinking, and I'm thinking this is an opportunity for me to make this kit in my own style. So what I've done is I've actually used the new Deluxe Collector's Edition, which is, of course, Enchanted Forest, which is one of my all-time favourites. I do actually have the original. Am I going to use it? Nope. Am I going to smell it? Yep. Anyway, this is the new Collector's Edition, which makes me feel like I can actually leave my old one behind and just, you know, worship from afar. Now, the Voyage Beneath the Sea and all of the information for this kit, I'm not going to go through for you the class because it's already been done, and it's a fantastic class, originally designed by Annette and brought to you by Cherie. There is absolutely no need for me to go over that again, but what I am going to do is I'm going to show you what I did to kind of make this my own. And then what we're going to do is we are going to have a bit of a class, because I've got this wonderful Voyage Beneath the Sea 12 by 12 Deluxe Collector's Edition, and I thought I can't just not use it. So what I did was I took the book design from this project and I made a whopping great big one that's 6.5 by 12 inches, and that is what I'm going to do in the class with you today. So what I thought I'd do first of all is I'm going to show you my version of the Treasure Chest and Stowaway album. So here we go. As I mentioned to you before, I've actually used Enchanted Forest for my papers, and I've added to a little bit because I've used some Graphic 45 feet and I've used some Graphic 45 metal hardware. I've used the little handle on the top. And what I did was I did actually make the box up exactly as it is. But I added a few little bits on the front. Now, I don't know if you can see, but this main sort of plaque on the front, this is from the signature page on the Enchanted Forest. And what you can't see terribly easily is that I've layered the whole thing up. So you've got this real kind of like 3D plaque going on there. Okay. And then I've just fussy cut some of the items from, I think it's one of the cutter parts, and I've just added those on there. So if I take that out now, I'm going to show you what I've put in the box in a minute, but you can see that I have actually covered it on the inside as well. And then inside are my books. Now, the kit gives you instructions for one, but they don't use much paper. So I've actually made 3 plus a little tag book, which I'll go through with you in a moment. But just to show you, that is the box itself, and I've actually managed to cover the inside of it. Now, for the collector's edition papers, I actually used the 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8 pack, just so you know how much paper you need if you want to do the same project as well. Now, Annette's mini book, I've made 3 of them to go into my chest here, and then I said I have actually used some of my Graphic 45 tags I've got left over to make a little tag book. So if I just show you this quickly, all I've done is I've taken my dies, cut out paper. I can put a little photo on the back here maybe, or some journaling, and then I've taken images from the collection pack and I have layered those up. You know what I'm like for layering up, so you've got this real 3D effect going on there. Okay, same here, you've got my 3D fairy, and then there we've got that other wonderful Enchanted Forest lady from the court, and that's my little tag book. Now, these books, I've made these exactly the way of the original class, but I've made 3 as opposed to 2. And I believe that the style of binding in there is called, I think it's Australian binding, but I will go through that with you in a moment because I have made a slight change. Now, the covers of my book are all the same but different, and I wanted to keep to the style of the original. So if I get my instructions here, I just want to show you that the front page of the book had this wonderful this wonderful curve on there, which was, you know, it's part of the design of the Voyage Under the Sea papers, but I wanted to keep that going through this, and I've used some of the graphic 45 metal keyholes here, and then some of the little sort of like they're like pearly dots. They're gorgeous. They come in 3 colors, so I've used some of those as well. And these, as I say, these use what we call, I think it's called Australian binding, and I said I've made 3. So what I've done, and I haven't put anything in, there's loads of space for photographs and much more decorating than I've done. I've just kept it super simple inside. I have used a white pen just to give me a little bit of definition around the outside, and I think you can see here that I've layered up my lady on the front. But you open it up, and one of the nice things about this style of book is that it lies really, really flat. And what I've done is I've taken the paper that I've used you know, on each book, and I've followed that through inside. Now each page does have well, each book does have 8 pages or 8 double pages, and they slip through your binding here, and then you could put a cutter part on there, but because I wanted to use my cutter parts elsewhere, instead of putting the cutter part on and folding it, which is what it tells you to do in the instructions, I cut out some pieces of the pattern paper and just glued them on. And then I've put cutter parts on various other bits. So as you go through, you can just see how much room there is here for extra bits and pieces. So that is my one book, and they are all the same apart from you know, the papers that identify each book, if you like. And I have inked all of the edges, which took me forever. But if a job's worth doing, it's worth doing well. And I've done the same all the way throughout, so you can see there how that book goes together and just how much room there is in it. Now for the covers, I have actually used graphic 45 chipboard, which is slightly thinner than I would normally use, but it's absolutely amazing because it is quite solid. But I used the black one, which when I come and show you my big version of this, you'll see why that is absolutely brilliant. So that is my one version. This is the second one. Once again, what I've done is I've layered up the images on the front, and I've done the same design on each. This one's got the silver pearls, that's got the black, that's got the gold, and then you open it up, and actually, apart from, you know, these pages, these, so that each one identifies by the cover paper, they are all exactly the same inside as you go through. So I don't really need to go into too much detail and show you that one. And then the third one, we've got the dragon and the princess. And once again, that is the same throughout. And that is my leveled up project. As I said, I've used the Enchanted Forest papers. I've used the 12 by 12 and the 8 by 8 papers, and I love that. That's going to have pride of place, I think. Now, as I said, I felt like I had an idea to make a bigger version of that book, and that's the class that's going to follow on now. But I wanted to use the Voyage Beneath the Sea papers. Now, this is a really big book. This is 6.5 by 12 inches, and I am going to go through with you step by step how I've put that together. Once again, I've used the Australian binding, but I've used it twice on this one. But what I had in my idea in my head was that I wanted this page here to kind of like have an aperture to go through to our mermaid here, who of course I have layered up quite a bit, and I've added some other fussy cut bits here. And because there was so much in this, because it was the deluxe collector's edition with the chipboards and the stickers, I've used those. And if you do download this piece, this class, you can see you know, different ways of decorating up. So you could, if you wanted to, make your big one along those lines, and I've just used the one 12 by 12 pack. Now I have done it slightly differently in that we don't have those pop-up bits. So if I open up my book here, you can see that my page opens up flat, but underneath here are those two flappy bits that we actually attached. Let me just show you that we attached these two. I chose not to do that. I basically, what I did was I glued that down like that. So here we've got one of our cut apart images, and the same there. But then if I open up again here, what I've got is all of this space where I can put photographs or anything else. I haven't decorated it in any great detail because I've got a whole load of seaside photos that I'm going to want to put in here at some point. But just so you can see that this book is absolutely massive. There is loads of room in it for photos. And you know, imagine this is a blank canvas, and then you can just go and decorate it up exactly how you want. You could of course do it with the you know, the sort of like the separate add-on pages here, but because it's such a big book, because it is 12 inches, I decided not to do that. I wanted to have a little bit more I want to say less floppability. You know what I mean? I wanted a bit more security. I wanted a more solid page. So I chose not to do that. I have rounded the corners, and I have inked all of my edges as well. So that is the project that I'm going to show you how to make next. So I hope you can have a look and join in with me. And if you do make either this project or this project, I'd love to see in the Graphic 45 community page on Facebook. So do feel free to put your makes in there, and I look forward to seeing what you've made. So let's get on now with part one of this book. So from my album pack that I did my project over here with, as you know, I changed the paper. So I used Enchanted Forest, but the kit comes with Voyage Beneath the Sea, and I was going to leave it there, but this image was absolutely on my mind all the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the mini book out of this project, the one with the Australian binding, and I'm going to make it using this paper, because in my head I had this idea that I wanted to do a mini with this image on the front to be kind of faithful, I suppose, to the original project. But in my head, what I've got going on is that style of book in a piece this big. So it's going to be 12 by 6.5 inches, let's say. And what I want to do with my cover is cut out this middle bit here, which is going to be easier said than done, I think, so that I can build up this here. So what am I going to use? I'm going to use my 12 by 12 collection pack, which has obviously got bits in like the stickers and the chipboard pieces. This came with the album kit that I leveled up here, as well as these rather lovely metal bits here. So that's what I'm going to use for my book, but I'm also going to use some of the Graphic 45 black chipboard. It's not overly thick, which makes it really, really easy to cut and manipulate, which means that as far as putting this book together goes, it's absolutely perfect. So I'm going to use a couple of sheets of that as well for my cover. So how am I going to go about sorting that out? So if I just cut out this image here first, I can just double check my sizes and get on with making my pages. And like I said, I'm going to make it in exactly the same way as the project, the Levels Up project, which was the original papers for this project over here. So let me just cut out this piece here, because this is what I'm thinking for my cover. So the cover piece is going to be a big book. Is going to be, yep, 6.5 by 12, which means that I want to cut for my cover 2 pieces of chipboard at 6.5 by 12 inches. Now the nice thing about this chipboard is that it's black all the way through, so it doesn't need, if you don't have any tape or anything, or you don't want to paint the outside, it doesn't really matter. Because it's black all the way through and gives you that nice kind of edge. So let me just cut my 2 covers from chipboard, which I'm cutting at 6.5 by 12. So our original project has 8 pages, as I recall. I'm going to want these for my cover, so I'm going to keep those and put them to one side, because that is going to be my cover piece. So then let me just grab one of my books and we'll just count the pages. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now this is going to be interesting because 6.5 is going to make it really awkward to do the pages and fold them in half. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to choose 8 pages and I'm going to make them at 6 by 12. I don't think that'll matter one jot, actually. So let me find 8 pieces of paper that I like for my pages. 1, 2, 3, 4, and because the others are all cut apart, I think I'm going to choose 2 of each. That would make sense. And I'm going to cut those all down to 12 inches. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now I've got a choice with my binding. do I do one big piece that is going to be, say, 6 inches, or shall I do 2 smaller at 4 inches? I'm inclined to do 2 smaller at 4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find 2 pieces of paper. So let's go for that one and that one. Although they're both yellow on the back, it might be nice to have something different. Let's go for the orange one. And I'm going to cut these at 4 inches. So I get 3 out of each piece. Okay, and the other one. So I'm cutting each of these at 4 by 12. Okay, right, let's get rid of those. I think I might slightly cut down my cover piece if I can find it. Where did I put it? Does this happen to other people? You know, oh, there it is. I'm just going to cut it down ever so slightly. So I'm going to cut about 1/8 of an inch off each side. And the top and bottom. Okay. Right. So let's start off by making our pages. We're going to do the easy bit first, I think. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these pages that I've got and I'm going to fold them in half. So what I'm going to end up with is 8 pages folded in half. But as I've got 2 of each paper, I'm going to fold one way and one the other. And I'm going to give it a good burnish. Okay. You can, of course, score on the 6-inch side or at the 6-inch mark if you want to. Right, so now you can see this piece that I've just had. This time I'm going to fold it the other way out. Love this plaid one. Okay, and then this one. Now, with regard to the binding, if I'm following the letter of the tutorial exactly, I'm going to do it in the same way that I did for the original project. So I'm going to take each piece I've got, I'm going to fold it in half like that, fold that up to there like that, turn it over and fold that to there, fold that back, and that back, and then we're going to fold that into the middle and that into the middle. So what we're going to end up with is an accordion, but you can also, if you want to, just score every 1.5 inches. Okay, I'm not going to burnish that just this very second. So fold that back on itself. Into the middle. And again. So once again, we've got that zigzag fold. So I'll show you again. Fold into the middle. Okay. Fold this outside piece towards the middle fold that you've got there. Turn it over and fold that back. Okay. Then take this open piece and fold it back on itself. Turn it over, fold it back on itself. And then take these 2 inside pieces and fold this straight here, this fold here, into the middle like that. And the same on that side. Okay, and you'll end up, if you fold that on itself, with an accordion fold. Let's do it again. We're going to fold that into the middle. We're going to fold that back on itself. Turn it over, fold that back on itself. Fold that into the fold there. Turn it over, fold that into the fold. Then we're going to fold this into the middle and that into the middle. Okay. Okay, all right, we'll do the last one together. You're going to fold it into the middle in half. Okay, take this and fold it back on itself. Turn it over and fold that back on itself. take this top flap and fold it back that way. Turn it over, take this top flap, fold it back on itself like that. Open it up. This is the middle. Take this edge, fold it into the middle. Okay. Take this bit, fold it into the middle. And there you've got your accordion. So divide them up. And what you're going to need are two that fold that way and one. So you've got your, let me see, you've got your valley at this end and you need a valley at that end. And then this one, you're just going to have to refold it the other way. Because that is going to fit one on there and one on there. And that is going to be your hinge. So if you grab yourself some glue, love to know where mine's gone. There we go. I'm going to put some glue onto that flap there. And I'm going to stick that on top of that, line it all up. Okay, so I've now got that long line. And I'm going to put some glue. It doesn't matter whether it's on this side or the other one, that side there. Put some glue, pop that on top like that. Let's fold it all up like that. See, I want to have my yellow as part of my binding on the outside. So now I've got my big accordion fold. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go down every fold and I'm just going to burnish make sure I've got a really good sharp crease. And then I'm going to do the other side. Right, there we go. So that is my binding so far. But what I want to do is, this is going to be my outside piece, but I want to take every other hinge and glue it together. So I'm going to put some glue on there like that. And I'm going to fold that together. So that is glued. I'm going to do the same on every hinge. Fold that together. Glue that together. that one. Okay, and then we leave this last one open. So I'm gonna just glue that. Okay, that is my hinge piece. So it looks like that now. I've got these two bits at the end, but the rest of them are all stuck together like that. You can go over again with your bone folder if you want to, but that is how you're going to put your accordion hinge together. Now I'm going to go off and do exactly the same with the other one. So what I've got here, which way around do I want this? That way. That way. So this one, I'm going to refold the other way round, like that. Or am I? No, I had it the right way to start. Typical. And that is going to pop one on there and one on there like that. So let's put some glue on there. Let's pop that on there. That on there like that. Let's fold that up. There we go. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to make sure my creases are good. Okay, so now I'm going to glue that. I've left this one open, but I'm going to glue that one. So that single one is open. And then I'm just going to go along each of them. Glue them together. Like that, and then leave the last one open. So let's glue those, make sure they're stuck well, and you'll see we've got exactly the same going on with this hinge here. Okay, so those are my two hinges. So I'm going to put those to dry to one side, and now we're going to talk about the cover. Now the covers that I've got, on the smaller ones I covered them with pattern paper. Now because these are 12 inches tall, I can't do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to choose some pattern paper and I'm going to cover that. But I've also got this front one, because if you remember what I said I wanted to do was cut out this central piece here. I want to use this for my cover, and I want to use this as an image popping up from the inside. So what I'm going to do really carefully now is I'm going to take a knife and I'm going to cut out this image. Now I'm going to have to hand cut around the curved portion, which may be easier said than done. I'm just wondering if I can do it with scissors. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side for a minute, and I want to put that on there, but it's still a tad too big. So I'm going to very carefully just cut it down a little bit more. I think I'll use my other trimmer for this. And bear in mind that you can make this with absolutely any paper you want. It's just, I just had this idea that I just wanted to use this paper, which was out of my original kit. It seems such a shame not to use it, and I just had this idea that I really wanted to make this with the aperture. This is going to have to be cut down ever so slightly. It's not quite, you know what, it'll be all right. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get my ink, which I've tidied up, literally just put somewhere safe. How is it that you can lose things so incredibly quickly? I'm just going to go over the edges of this board. Right, hold on, let me find my pink pad. No idea, I'll have to use this old one. And I'm going to use this to do the edges. You don't have to cut an aperture if you just want to make a big book out of some 12 by 12 paper. It's just I have this ridiculous idea. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to glue this onto the cover of my book like that. So right. Okay, so that is the front cover. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out some pieces of pattern paper to cover the back of that and then both sides of that. And once I've done that, I'll come back and we'll talk about putting our binding on. Okay, so I've got my covers together. And what I'm going to do now is cut my aperture. So if I grab my ruler, Mark's going to be very disappointed in me because I'm not using my safety ruler, mainly because I'm not entirely sure where I put it. And I'm going to cut out my reveal or my aperture with a bit of a reveal. So I want to leave some of the chipboard still showing. So let me cut through that. I'm going to cut through that. I think this curved bit is going to be a little bit of a headache. That's a nice thing. This chipboard is quite thin to cut through, thankfully. It would have been even better if it was straight. Okay. Right. See if my scissors will do it. I'm not sure. Just cut that out. Right, excellent. Now, I am going to go over this with my black ink just to disguise any little miscuts which inevitably happen. Let's tidy that up. Okay, right, excellent. So that is my back and front cover, all nicely done. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my hinges on. Now, if I was doing this the original way, what I'd do is I'd have a hinge. You'd just have one hinge on the original, but you'd have a hinge here that just fits on there, and then that one fits into the back like that. Now, I don't want to have this hinge on the front because it kind of spoils my cover. So I think what I'm going to do is just cut that right down. Just on this one, just on this, on the front piece. Now to use. So it's going to be a very, very narrow hinge on the front. Let's have a look at this one. About the same, so it's going to be about maybe ½ an inch. If you're not doing an aperture on yours or whichever, you don't have to cut that down. But now basically that's just going to be a small hinge on here, which is rather better than covering up all of this, although I will come back and decorate in a moment anyway. So what I'm going to do now with my hinges before I glue it is I do actually want to ink my edges. So I'm just going to go ahead Now I know that these hinges are 4 inches and I've got 12 inches. Of space to cover. So what I'm going to do is take my back cover and I'm going to measure 1 inch from the top. Oh. Or maybe 1.5 inches actually. Let's measure. If I do 2. Right, so say 1.5 inches from the top and 1.5 inches from the bottom. Okay, so I'm going to put some glue on the inside of those 2 flaps like that. And this is going to be my outside. So I've done it on the wrong side, haven't I? If that's my outside, this side I need to be measuring 1.5 inches. Let's pop that on the back there. Okay. Roll that inside one round. So that sits nicely on the back. Then I'm just going to quickly ink around these. Now I'm only putting 2 on because this is such a lot larger than the originals. You could make this work with just 1. Right, okay. So let's make sure we've got this the right way up. Let's put some glue on the back bits. Okay, so that wraps around like that. Just make sure that's stuck down. And then what we're going to do is put our front cover on. So I've got these shortened flaps here and here. So I'm going to put some glue on there, including the shortened flap. On both. Let's line that up. Don't worry about that showing through. We'll take that off in a minute. Okay, so that's my front and back on. You can see how nice it looks from the top there. What I want to do is I'm just going to trim that off. Just on this one outside hinge. Or set of hinges. Tidy that up a little bit. Going to ink that. That actually just needs a little bit of tidying up there. Not that I'm a perfectionist or anything. There we go. Right. So that is my book so far. But what I want to do next is put my pages in. So all the pages that we made earlier, all the ones that we cut in half, these are going to fit in here. But what I want to do is decide what order I want them in. So let me see what would be nice on that front piece. Do I want yellow? I think I'm going to want that one. Want to make sure I haven't got two the same together. So I'm going to want yellow, okay. Right, so what we've got to do now is cut holes in here to put these bits of hinge through. So we're going to cut, or we're going to mark, it's 1.5 inches from the top, 1.5 inches from the bottom, and then 4 inches, which is 1, 2, 3, 4. So at 5.5, and 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to make a mark at 1.5, 5.5, 6.5, and 10.5. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to cut a line in between those marks I've made on the fold. So between there, oops, there and there, and there, and there. Did that badly. I think I might have to put a bit of double-sided tape on there or something just to keep it together. So that is going to slip into there. Make it a tiny bit longer. And that one into there, and that will be our first page. So that's the first page in the book. And what we'll do is we'll put this inside there and build that up, and that is going to be our cover. Now we're going to go through, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure each of these pages and I'm going to pop them in like this. Then we're going to come back and we're going to attach these, and I'm going to show you how you can make this kind of interesting part of your book. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to measure all of those pages now, and I'm going to slip them into my book. Okay, pardon me. So I've been putting my pages in my book, and I kind of figured out an easier way to do it. So what I've got here, I've got my front page still to put in. So I've got my hinge bits here, and I've got my page here ready to go in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure it's the right way up, and I'm going to pop it on top of the other page that I've done. Make sure everything lines up and it's in the right place. Then I can see exactly where I need to put the holes. So if I just mark with my pencil where the binding is going to go, like that, I can then open this up, and you can use a ruler if you want to, or I'm not going to bother because I've got the hang of this now. But I'm now going to cut on that fold in between my pencil marks. One there and one there. So I know that this is going to fit on rather nicely to these binding bits, the hinges. Okay, so if I just pop that on there like that, make sure it all lines up. I can always cut a little bit more just to make sure that it lines up if I have to. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to round the corners of my rather large page, and I'm going to ink as well. And then I'm going to show you how I put my pages in, which I've done in a slightly different way to how this book was originally made, and actually kind of how you might traditionally use this binding. But because I put 2 in, because it's such a big book, it's 12 inches high at the end of the day, I've added the pages in slightly differently. Now, if you were making this smaller, like indeed we did for this original project here, then you could do it in the traditional way. But I looked at the images that I'd got and decided that I was going to glue the binding in as opposed to gluing something onto the binding. So 2 seconds and I will be with you. Let me do the inside as well. Halfway through this, I kind of wished I hadn't started, but once I'd started, I couldn't stop. So, those are my page. That's my page. I'm going to pop this back onto the hinges. Now, if you were making this as a small book, what you could do is put something like, you know, an image on there to hold those 2 pieces in. I decided not to because I've got 2, and what I've done is I've put some glue onto the back Hold on, let me just make a hole in this. I'm going to put some glue, she says, hopefully, onto the back of these hinges, like that. And then I'm going to close up my page, make sure that my page is actually in the right place. And I'm going to glue those hinges to that page. Okay, so like that. It still opens completely flat and lovely, but it's just that what we've done is that we've glued those on. Okay, so that is my book put together. Now, what I said I wanted to do with this was have this open bit to put this image on. Now, I've been playing with this. It's not finished yet, but I have been layering up this image and putting a few of those metal pieces on. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find out, I'm going to have to cut this down a little bit because I want to glue that in there. So that sits like that. So let me just cut this down. I think we're going to cut it to there. Okay, let's see if that fits rather better. Yep. I want to put that in there like that. Okay. So, right on the edge, isn't it? You know what? I'm going to cut this whole border off. I don't like it. Okay, let's just ink that. I do like a nice ink touch. Okay, and let's put some glue on the back there. I'm going to have to do this quickly. Let's pop that on there without sticking it down, because I want to move this. That looks straight. There we go. So that is my cover, and these are all of my pages. Now what I'm going to do now off camera is I'm going to go back, because I've got loads of wonderful images left. So I've got all of my cutter parts, etc. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these out and I'm going to add them into my book for some added interest. And I'll take it from there. So I'll be back in a minute and I'll show you this finished off. So as I just said, I'm back now with the finished book. It's finished at the moment. I don't want to completely finish it because I've got a lot of photos that I want to put in it. But basically what we've done now is come full circle. And this is the book that I showed you at the very, very beginning of my video earlier. So as I mentioned, I've got my aperture. I've got my layered up images here. And then you open that up, and what I've done is I've done some fussy cutting bits here. I've added some of the metal charms on there, and I've used to layer up my images is some of the this black chipboard, which is just brilliant because I haven't had to kind of edge it because it's black all the way through, which is awesome. Each page has got now a cutout on it. It's either got an image like that, or it's got a piece like this. Now you could of course have left it with this bit flopping like we did in the original, but I wanted a little bit more stability because this is you know, a 12-inch tall page. That's quite big, and it would have been quite floppy, I think, to have had that. So I wanted some degree of stability in there. So that is my very large 6.5 by 12 version of the I think it's called the Stowaway album, and I really hope that you've enjoyed making that with me, and I look forward very much to seeing everybody for my next project. Take care, everybody, and thanks for joining me. Bye bye.